This is Luke Paulson, the Catholic Conservative, and welcome to the News of the Week for August 20th, 2022. And if you enjoy these videos, do not forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more. The Name of Monkey Pox. Getting the client list. I have never seen the media so adamant about protecting a child molester. When it comes to the Catholic Church or school, it is always front page news, without fail. However, when it comes to one of the biggest child trafficking rings that this world has ever known on Epstein's Island, there is media silence. If the Department of Justice has the list, there are only two reasons why it would not be published, so that everyone on the list can be prosecuted. Number one, the names of the top brass at the DOJ are on that list. Number two, the names of the political elites are on that list. Either way, I would not doubt for 1 second that the list is being unreleased because someone very powerful does not want it to be found out. The Gateway Pundit has made a motion to unseal Epstein's client list. I doubt anything will happen. That is pretty dismal, even for me. However, the only light I can see is that this will all come out on Judgment Day. Homeless camps moved. Now, as an independent commentator, I can say virtually anything I want. My only limit is what platform I happen to be using at the time. I support President Trump in his potential re-election campaign. However, just like the first time, he is saying some things that I do not necessarily agree with. The first time around, he argued for using the power of the government on anyone associated with Muslims. While they have denied the saving power of Jesus Christ and are under the weight of their own sins, this does not mean that their civil liberties should be violated. However, once in office, he did absolutely nothing whatsoever that could even be remotely close to this. The entire media industrial complex was against him, and even then, they still could not find anything. Granted, this is because they were making up everything as they went along, but I digress. At a rally, he argued that the homeless that defecate in the street and use drugs like heroin out in the open should be relocated. His location of choice was a camp outside of the city. As a Christian, I have a problem with that idea, as it makes it harder to help them. As a libertarian, I have a problem with that idea, as it denies people their civil liberties, since this sounds a lot like a FEMA camp. However, something tells me that if the past is any indication, we will not see this happen. And something tells me that since the liberals are mostly silent on this, they either are too busy with their fake stories or see the same pattern that I am seeing. Your medical information is unsafe. Facebook has a program called Pixel that has been siphoning medical information from hospitals. Now, it is one thing for Facebook and the rest of these companies to track what posts you interact with to show ads. It is a little weird and a little creepy, but it is really not much in the grand scheme of things. This is what happens when you get a product or service for free. Nothing in this world is free, and there is always a cost. Now, medical records that were not authorized to be released is another issue. These records are not only private, but are supposed to be protected under HIPAA. In truth, nothing will likely happen because he is amongst the protected people that cannot be prosecuted. It must be so nice being a crony.
Heads they win, tails you lose. Forget the rule book, they make the rules. Wanna compete? You'll be rejected. Get with cronies.
The FBI leak. The Department of Justice is rotten to its very core. That is no secret. While Ron DeSantis did get rid of the Soros-backed DA, the highest levels of law enforcement are even more corrupt. The FBI is painting people who post pictures of American flags and Betsy Ross flags as dangerous extremists. Not one word on when they will target Black Crimes Matter with the same degree of ferocity. Naturally, when called out on it, the FBI director had to try and walk it back by saying that it was part of a larger operation. He was not fooling anyone. I used to ask how long before the government of the United States starts targeting her own people. That is no longer a hypothetical. The answer is today. The FBI raids President Trump. The fake news decided that President Trump stole classified documents and took them to Mar-a-Lago. The FBI and whatnot could have looked at the documents beforehand. They also could have accepted President Trump's invitation to come by and search the property. Neither of these took place. Instead, they sent an armed team to search every corner of the property for anything classified. They have not reported finding anything. Imagine an FBI that targets journalists for possessing something and not publishing it. Imagine an FBI that targets people that do not support World War I. Imagine an FBI that targets a Baptist preacher just because he speaks out on topics that are sensitive. If you can imagine these 3 of thousands of instances, you can understand why they would go after President Trump. The FBI and the rest of the intelligence community has shown time and time again that they are the enemy of the American people. Now, let's see what else Operation Mockingbird said about all of this. Operation Mockingbird reminds you to never question the official narrative. According to them, President Trump stole nuclear secrets. I am sure they will publish their source for this. Never. Like I said, President Trump invited them to come and search the property, but instead, they raided the property when he was away and kept his lawyers from being anywhere nearby. If this can be done to a president, what can they do to you or me? I am wondering why the FBI did not raid Hillary Clinton's home to look for missing emails. Anti-Inflation Bill. The Patriot Act was the least patriotic thing that I have seen in my lifetime. However, the wretched pieces of scum that control Washington have decided that it is high time to create another such law. This time, they have enacted a law that will supposedly act to get rid of inflation. Even though the same experts that got us into this mess say that not only will it not reduce inflation, but actually make it worse. These people do not care. The IRS is expanding with guns. Democrats want to make sure that everyone pays what they have decided is everyone else's fair share. He shot my arm off! This week on... The Second Amendment saves lives. Civilian disarmament does not help the civilian. It only helps the criminal. I take you to California, where an 80-year-old clerk was in the process of being robbed. The clerk turned around with a shotgun and fired at the would-be thief. He ran away and will probably never try to rob the same store for the foreseeable future. He could just try to get a 9-to-5 and not steal, but it is much easier to rob other people and take what they have produced. Instead, he just provided an excellent audition to join the 87,000 IRS agents. Remote learning was wrong. Randy Weingarten of the American Federation of Teachers has admitted what we have known all along. Remote learning in response to the pandemic has caused students to have greater needs as a result of 2 years of disruption. Meanwhile, fire is hot, ice is cold, and water is wet. She said this in a response to schools and classrooms without teachers because of a shortage of said teachers. Fewer people are going into the field than ever before. However, I would like to point out that the teachers' union has made their bed and now they must sleep in it. They fought the schools from reopening at every turn, even though children are the least at risk for this virus, since even the fake news admitted that the costume was designed to keep you from getting the virus from other people. If someone wanted to wear their costume or live in a bubble at home, that was their choice. Instead, we shut down schools left and right and hoped that nothing would go wrong. Children are social creatures and need interaction. One of the greatest mistakes of the 20th century was to hand over education to the government. The Taliban is stronger now. It is hard to believe that it has been a year since the disastrous withdrawal of our forces from Afghanistan and the subsequent takeover by the Taliban. According to the State Department, America is stronger than ever since we left Afghanistan and ended America's longest war. First of all, I have grown to doubt government sources since the deep state started to get even more vocal. Second of all, I think the Taliban is the one that is stronger now since we left the equipment behind. I do not see why we did not blow our remaining bases off the face of the earth with an airstrike. Our intelligence communities created the terrorist organizations. Our military emboldened support for said terrorist organizations. Perhaps we should focus on defending the homeland and nothing else. USPS Fraud Department. Musk wins in the end. Elon Musk, like Donald Trump, has been playing the liberal establishment like a fiddle. They have played right into his hands. Elon Musk offered to buy Twitter for more than it was ever worth. Once they finally agreed because it was in their best interests, he seemingly backed out because the number of bots did not make it worth it. Then Twitter brought a lawsuit to force him to buy. Now Twitter is having to disclose the records publicly.
There's a plan in everything, kid. And I love it when a plan comes together.
Maybe I'm just blowing smoke. Maybe I'm completely off my rocker, but that is just my opinion. And if you enjoyed this content, do not forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more. And also don't forget to follow me on social media.